also some changes as far as the federal level. So yeah.
But was that real? Can you verify that that was real? That he just wasn't changing it just because there was a backroom deal, so to speak, that they wanted to get done that day? Or
Hey, Senator, how are you? No, I have no indication that it was anything other than reflecting updated numbers that they had.
so that was.
And look, that's the executive's prerogative to set the targets. So I don't think I wouldn't question that. I think the more important story is that ahead of the March 1st deadline, they came up with recommendations that were, if not a complete consensus, certainly represented a broad range of members of the of that team. And now it's up to the legislature to look at those specifics and decide what they want to do with it, so we get the budget done by April 1st.
Did you think it was appropriate that there was no stakeholder at the table from the independent-owned pharmacies, that they're part of the healthcare industry also?
I had not heard that was a concern earlier. So
Godfrey brought it up. Yeah.
Comptroller, obviously, when you're dealing with the municipal people, their issue is property tax caps. Talking about unfunded mandates, which is something that the governor is talking about. How do you think, in terms of where the state's at, how that affects these municipalities and cities?
I think it's something we hear all the time. I heard it again with the comments after I made my presentation. If there's going to be a property tax cap, and I think there's a pretty broad agreement that there will be, it needs to be coupled with mandate relief. And that's where the task force that's meeting on mandate relief needs to listen to the recommendations from NICOM, from NISAC that represents our counties, from the Association of Towns, from the School Board Association, so that we can be specific about what kind of mandates could be reconsidered and eliminated to make it easier for local officials to manage their budgets within the constraints that a property tax cap will impose. So I think they could deal with the property tax cap as long as they have more flexibility, and that means some relief from the mandates that they have right now.
I know one of the things that they're saying in the pension and health insurance payments are going to, with any property tax cap, is going to throw off the rest of their budget, and either they're going to have to raise some other tax, or they're going to be in real trouble.
Well, or relief in terms of other expenses that would enable them to still deal with those increases.
Comptroller, you talked about the areas of uncertainty in the budget, and now you just in your speech kind of lauded the Medicaid redesign team for coming out with
that was
recommendations.
probably the biggest uncertainty that we had identified earlier on. Yeah.
Right. What's left?
Well, there are uncertainties in terms of revenues generally. You know, you've got the income from the Native American cigarette sales. You've got some expansion in terms of lottery that are expecting to be implemented to bring in more revenue to the state. So there were a number that we identified in our report. Obviously, the issues with state operations, facility closure, labor savings. You know, those $450 million in labor savings still to be discussed and determined. So unless something's happened this morning, I'm not aware that those have been pinned down.
Do you think that that's realistic in terms of 2 outstanding contracts, $450 million labor savings?
Well, I don't know if it's a question of what's realistic. That's one of the targets that this budget is built upon. So if that target is not going to be achieved, you have to achieve it in some way. So unless there's some adjustment in the number or some other savings, this budget is contingent upon that target being met.
And you mentioned in your speech local development corporations, the need for increased scrutiny. Can you tell us a little more about what you have planned, what your office is working on?
We're putting together a legislative package that will define a little more clearly what the parameters are of LDCs and make clear what the parameters of our audit authority are of the LDCs. They're kind of a hybrid form of government structure that we're seeing in increased frequency, particularly with parts of the IDA legislation not being renewed. Some communities are going to LDCs to do what the IDAs used to do on civic facilities. So we're seeing more of them, and we think there needs to be more oversight provided through our office.
What's your vision, then? How would you like to see that?
Well, when you see our package, you'll see it. So they're working on it now.
I realize that,
We're not announcing it today. If I announce it today, you won't come to my press conference when we
Of course
announce
we
it.
will.